Hello, my name is Donna Montgomery, and I'm the chairman of the Administrative Board of First Methodist Church here in Ennis, Texas. This year, we are celebrating our 150th anniversary, and in order to celebrate this milestone in our church, we are kicking off an interview series with some of our most tenured members. I hope you'll join us in the coming weeks as we add to our interview series different members who are sharing with us their memories and thoughts of membership in this church over the years. Today, I'm so pleased to have Miss Ginger Boon join me, and I want to thank you, Ginger, for agreeing to sit down and share your thoughts and memories of what your membership in this church has been like through the years. So today, let's get started. And Ginger, first I'd like to ask you to just maybe share with us some of your very earliest memories of your membership here in this church.
Okay, well, we moved to Ennis in 38, and to get the elephant out of the room, I'm 88. So
thank you for sharing that.
So that's over with, okay. And I just always went to this church. My family came here. But my earliest memories was the church on the corner of Crockett and Dallas Street. And they were ready to tear that church down and build another one when World War II came out. And I was baptized in that church at the age of 7. All of us little kids at that time were baptized at the same time. And the neat thing about that church is that it leaked constantly when it rained.
Oh my.
And whenever it started raining, the bucket brigade came out, and there were buckets set all over the church. And I can still see that happening.
Isn't that amazing? And it didn't stop church services, did it?
Oh no, that was part of the service. They would go get the buckets. Isn't that fun?
Wow.
Yeah.
What was Sunday school like back in those days when you were a little girl?
It was neat. It was fun. You sat at a table, and we had a bungalow on the side of the church. It was on the south side of the church, and you would go in there, and it was just, we had neat teachers that were always the same every Sunday.
Well, and that's part of your history in this church, Ginger. As many of you know, or maybe you don't know, Ginger has served as Sunday school teacher in this church for many years, and my own children were blessed to have her as the Sunday school teacher. So
it's really important to have the same teacher.
that continuity certainly is.
It really was.
So Ginger, I'd like to ask you to maybe compare the church today with the church of your memories from when you were growing up, and maybe talk a little bit about how the church has changed over the years, and then maybe focus on if there has been a constant thread that's run through the church that hasn't changed. So what were some of the biggest changes that you've seen over the years in this Methodist church?
Well, this Methodist church has always been the hub. Okay, and most of the doctors in Ennis belong to the Methodist church.
Really?
A lot of the businessmen were members of this church. Also, the bankers were members of this church. So it was a family. This church was an extension of my family.
Yeah.
Because I never went anywhere else.
I think the location too, it's always been a downtown church.
A downtown church. It always has. It's always been so that part, the thing about this church, it's always been the members. Ministers come and go. They always have in the Methodist church. But the members of this church were like family.
Yeah.
They really were.
And I think that's probably true today. It has been for 150 years that the members make the church.
Absolutely. Yeah. They really do.
Yeah. Well, Ginger, would you like to share maybe a little bit more personal story about how membership in this church has impacted your faith journey over the years?
Okay, well, with my family, we moved here in 38. And as I said, I joined the church, was baptized in 43. But in 44, right in the height of World War II, our home burned. Oh, and it's where Keeper Funeral Home now stands. We leased a house, or in those days you rented it. Yeah. And it burned, and it burned to the ground, and we lost all of our possessions.
And how old were you when that happened?
I was third grade.
Third grade?
Third grade, And so what I'm telling you now is what was told to me, because most of that stuff was not important to me. But the ladies of this church got together, and there was a group of women called WSCS, Women's Society of Christian Service. And Mrs. W.B. Ryder, the wife of the president of Ennis State Bank, was president of that organization. And she organized the ladies of this church to go to downtown Ennis and buy sheeting to make sheets for our beds.
Oh my.
So you couldn't buy sheets. You couldn't buy anything. Everything went to the war effort.
Goodness.
And that made such an impression on my mother. It was just unbelievable because her son was already in the war. So it was really impressive. But they did clothing drives. They did it all.
And there that family was
That
stepping in.
family stepping in. And that's because we had nothing. And you couldn't get insurance in those days.
Right.
So it was a very dramatic time in my mother's life. Yeah.
And yours
and mine too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was different.
Wow.
And the church was there for us.
Then and always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Methodist story you'd like to share? Something that might bring a little bit of laughter or maybe a tear to your eyes?
Oh
something.
gosh, I don't know. I guess when Jimmy and I married in this church in '56.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jimmy came over from the Boys Methodist Church, and he joined this church the day we baptized Dee in '59.
Oh wow.
Okay. And the way the altar was fixed then was the choir was faced the organ. It was over here on this side.
I actually remember that.
Okay,
Yes.
and it faced the organ. Okay. In that choir was a man called W.R. Bill Swain. And Jimmy worked in the factory of Ennis Business Forums. And Jimmy did not go to college. So Bill had been a child. I had gone to first grade with his daughter, so I had known Bill all my life. So Bill became interested in Jimmy. And he called me into his office one day at EBF, or then it was in his tag and sales book company, and said, "Ginger, I'm going to offer Jimmy a job in sales. And I want you to know this before I do it." And I said, "Bill, Jimmy's never done anything like that." He said, "That's okay, I'll be there." And he became Jimmy's business mentor.
Wow.
And changed his life forever.
And once again, there's that family of this church stepping in and making an impact on your family.
And he told Jimmy, "You should also be involved in your church. I want you to come be on the finance board with me. And I want you to be involved in the city. I want you to be on the zoning board with me." Now, this was just Bill seeing Jimmy in church. This was family.
He took him under his wing.
I took him under his wing.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a very personal,
A wonderful story.
Yeah.
Well, I know this last December, your family celebrated a very special wedding in this church. And that's the third generation of your family to be married in this very sanctuary.
Dee and Robbie in '83, and then Kyle and Kelsey.
So what a wonderful history
right
that
here
your
in this
family
I
has.
know it.
Yeah.
This church has been my family.
Yeah. Well, Ginger, I want to thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to share with us. And it's so important for us to look back at our history as we plan to move forward for the next 150 years of building the history and the future of this church. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a privilege. Thank you.